Hi everyone, I'm Pat Prokop, retired meteorologist with this Hurricane Ian update for Tuesday, September 27th. Ian continues to intensify with current sustained winds at 115 miles per hour. That's 30 miles per hour stronger than this time yesterday and 60 miles per hour stronger from 2 days ago. The storm is moving through an environment very conducive for additional intensification and will likely max out at around 130 miles per hour later tonight and on Wednesday. After that, environmental conditions will begin to hamper the storm, causing it to begin to weaken. However, as it weakens, the base of the tropical storm force winds will expand, not only affecting central and northern Florida, but also a large region of coastal Georgia and South Carolina. A tropical storm watch is in effect from the central coast of South Carolina southward to the Altamaha River, and also from there, south of the Altamaha River, a tropical storm warning is in effect. Of course, a hurricane warning is in effect for the west coast of central Florida, including the greater Tampa area. So let's take an entailed look at the storm. There's the satellite view right now showing the eye of Hurricane Ian moving off the north coast of western Cuba, where it went right over the western portions of Cuba earlier this morning. And now it's moving into this rich, warm waters of the southeastern Gulf of Mexico. And that's going to allow the storm to strengthen somewhat even more, up to about perhaps 130 miles per hour sustained winds with higher gusts. And then it's going to start encountering some wind shear. You can almost see southwest winds right here on the satellite imagery. And that will cause the storm to slowly start to weaken, and then when it interacts with the landmass of the Florida Peninsula, it will continue to weaken somewhat. Let's look at an enhanced color version of the satellite view, and this is the long wave infrared version. There you can see very cold cloud top temperatures associated with this storm, and that means the storm is very active and very strong with this type pattern right here, and well-defined eye as it continues to draw the heat out of the Gulf of Mexico. Looking at the hurricane information from the National Hurricane Center, there this late morning, 11 o'clock advisory had the storm crossing the course just off the coast of North Cuba, and then a major hurricane with 115 to 130 mile per hour winds all the way up to the coast of west central Florida, somewhere between Tampa southward to the Fort Myers area. Anyway, by 8 o'clock Wednesday evening, tomorrow evening, it shows it moving along into the coastal areas of western Florida and then into central Florida, not too far from Orlando, and then curving northward as a strong tropical storm moving into, the northeast portions of Florida around Jacksonville, and then up the almost Interstate 95 into southeastern Georgia, and then into the central portions of South Carolina as a decaying storm, but a decaying storm with a lot of wind and a lot of rain. Looking at the models, this is the latest run of the Global Forecast System, the U.S. model, and it shows the storm basically doing what the National Hurricane Center just projected and bringing in some very heavy rains across the regions of coastal Georgia and South Carolina. This is not until 2 o'clock Friday afternoon with the heavier rains. Now, if we go back in time just a little bit, by Thursday evening, sunset Thursday, this is the position. You're going to start seeing the winds increasing throughout the day on Wednesday, and then a little bit stronger on Thursday. But by Thursday night, you're going to start seeing even stronger winds and a high tide being pushed up a little bit higher. The high tide on Thursday evening will be around 8 feet, but it could be about 1 to 2 feet higher than that. So we're talking anywhere between 9 and 10 feet. Saltwater flooding occurs with the marshes and the lagoons overflowing at about 9.5 feet. Moving ahead in time, there you can see the time at 2 o'clock Friday afternoon. Very heavy squalls moving on shore in all of coastal South Carolina and coastal Georgia. And then continuing some very heavy rains through all of southeastern Georgia into the central Savannah River area and all of South Carolina, getting some very heavy rains. We're talking some extremely large rainfall amounts. Some of the forecast models, this one right here, the RGEM, is showing some extremely heavy rains across southeastern Georgia, central Georgia, and to just about all of South Carolina. This purple area is the beginning of the 2 inches all the way up to 5 inches of rain. This yellow area here in central and northern Florida and extreme south portions of Georgia, in around Camden County and southern Glenn County, that's an indication of anywhere between 12 and 20 to 24 inches of rain. That's potential from this storm itself. But even the inland areas, we're going to see a lot of wind associated with this heavy rain squalls that are going to be moving onshore, particularly throughout the evening hours. Friday, all day Friday into Friday night and Saturday morning, we're going to see considerable amounts of rain and some high winds. And these winds are going to produce a lot of tree damage. And with the tree damage, yeah, you're going to get power outages as well. One thing if you go to my website, click on SavannahPat.name. There, first of all, if you click on the hurricane map here, it'll take you directly to the hurricane center. And then going back to the SavannahPat.name weather page, if you go down to the radars, there's the local radar in and around the greater Savannah area, Hilton Head, Statesboro, and so forth. Right now, we're not seeing much in the form of precipitation. Also, I have the winds showing up here as well, which will be interesting to watch as the storm gets closer and closer. These indicators here will show you how much the winds are. But if you click on the next radar, this is the southern radar, I have it set at the Key West radar site right now, and it's picking up the storm just off the coast of North Cuba and approaching southwest portions of Florida. There you have a tornado watch in effect for that portions of Florida. And don't be surprised if we go into a tornado watch on Friday as this system moves in across the area, probably Friday night and Saturday morning, because this will be very conducive for the development of what's called short track tornadoes, which can have winds of 75 over 100 miles an hour and produce isolated areas of considerable tree damage. So keep that in mind. It appears the greatest threat to our area of southeast Georgia, southern South Carolina will be Thursday evening through midday Saturday. The greatest threat will be Friday into midday Saturday. A prolonged period of moderate to heavy rains with strong to damaging gusty winds will most likely produce considerable tree damage, resulting in power outages and hazardous driving conditions. Also, there will be a strong fetch of easterly to southeasterly winds along the coast Wednesday through Friday, which will pump an additional 2 to 3 feet up to the tide. The evening high tides Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday will be around 8 feet, but will certainly be higher with possibilities of exceeding 10 to 12 feet, which would overflow the banks and marshes, lagoons, resulting in saltwater flooding over low-lying roads and in and around those times. It's time to continue to prepare for tropical storm conditions in our area. Start by putting your hurricane plan in place and closely monitor the forecast updates by tuning into your favorite local television station and other reliable news sources. And monitor your local emergency management agency and heed to their advice. It is quite certain that massive evacuations will not be needed for this storm, but those living along the islands should prepare for some tidal flooding, particularly during the evening high tide cycles. Also, if you live in an unsecure mobile home or dwelling, you might want to make plans to seek shelter in a stronger structure. I will continue to monitor this storm, and I advise you to do the same. You can find me on my website of SavannahPat.name or my Weather and Nature Facebook page, and on Twitter at Pat of Savannah, and on my YouTube Weather and Nature channel as Patrick Prokop. I have links to all of these in the description section below, and you are invited also to leave your comments in the comments section below the description area. If you like this video, please hit the like button and give it a thumbs up. Also, if you subscribe to this channel, you'll be notified whenever I upload new videos. Well, you can also catch me on my main YouTube channel. That's Heavenly Backyard Astronomy. There I post videos from my large telescopes outside in the garden, looking at the planets, colorful nebulae, star clusters, and those distant galaxies. However, with the approaching storm, I will be busy over the next couple of days dismantling the scopes and stowing them in a safe place. It's a good idea for you to start moving loose outdoor furniture and objects in your yards into also a secure spot. Thank you for watching, and see you later here on YouTube.